What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. I got a special thing that I'm going to do today that I want to enlighten or motivate, edify, encourage, uplift our people into the things that we are trapped into, yet the things we can get ourselves out of. You know, I'm here in South Africa, and I tell you, there's so many similarities to our brothers and sisters here in South Africa, as well as with us that are there in America, those that are in England or UK. I've been there. Canada, I've been there to see how we are in the grand scheme of things of being sometimes a majority ruled or controlled by a minority, or being the majority or the minority controlled by the majority. Good day to each and every one of y'all. Let me give a shout out because my precious people out here who are, in line with what I have been speaking about. And I hope that this is edifying to each and every one of you all. Many of us, have questions and answers, questions that are unanswered that we have been searching for long and wide. We are people who've been asking these questions, and why we as a people seem to be the ones on the bottom. Why are we the ones that seem to have the hardest route to go? Me and my wife was out today here, and we went to Pretoria, and it was like, whoa, okay, I had a different ideal of what Pretoria was, especially in the downtown area. And we had a great time sitting and talking with some folks that were there. I got to talk to some people who were feeding the homeless. And I got to really talk to these students. They were students in university. The program was to do some social work. And one of their social works was feeding the homeless. So I kind of asked them some questions on, what they have learned from doing these things. And the young lady I asked, she gave me an answer and said, how she felt good and, doing and helping those who are hungry or those who are in need. And then I asked the brother the same question, and he shared how he, how he feels when it comes to helping the people that were there. We were at the union buildings there in Pretoria, where there was homelessness out there and these people getting fed. So he said that it made him feel compassion. It made him feel good to help the people. I shared with them that in my journey of life that I also volunteered for a homeless shelter, that I helped people that were on the street. I helped people who were in need. I worked also volunteered at a food bank or a food shelter and helping those who were hungry. And so when I asked the young man about how or what do you learn from this, what you're doing, he kept going back to him having this compassion about having people, this compassion and his having for helping people. And I said, but what has this taught you? What have they taught you? Because, we at times get caught up in what we do in helping people. And so I shared with them, I said, when I helped the people who were hungry, the people who were homeless, it took the sting of the fear that I had that if I became homeless, what would I do? And all the people I talked to, because I was so ingrained, because my mom, my brother and sisters were homeless. When I left home, went to the military, my dad, my mom and dad got a divorce. He stopped paying for the house that they were staying in, and the banks came and took it. The banks took the home. So my mom and my brother and them, my mother couldn't find anywhere to live during this process of them putting her out of her house. For you Africans out here, this is what you call a bank loan, a mortgage, because we're going to talk about a system here in a second. But this is called a bank loan. When you own the bank and you don't own your house and you stop paying it because you lost your job or you just went through a divorce, you don't have the means to pay, whatever, the bank's going to take that property back. And they did. my mom and my brother and my sister were homeless, and she happened to go move in with my sister, who had just recently got married at the time and just had a newborn baby, a one-bedroom apartment. When I came back home to visit, after a few months of them being living with my sister, I my mom was sleeping on the couch. My brothers and sister were sleeping on the floor. And when I came to visit, I was sleeping on the floor with them as well. And this stemmed a fear in me. I'm going somewhere. Stick with me, family. This is going to help you. This created a fear in me of being homeless. And so years went on, and I did everything in my power and my might to ensure that I could probably set myself up for not be ever becoming homeless. And there were situations that happened that I almost became homeless. The military downsized, started getting rid of people. It didn't affect me, but it affected a lot of my friends. And there came that fear again. What shall I do? What can I do? And the Almighty, as I asked to show me something, it was shown to me, and I went off and I began to start my own business, and I've moved forward in that area. Nobody is immune to being homeless. Nobody. I've met people who've had millions and lost everything and out on the street was begging. I've talked to people who were homeless when I was working in the homeless shelter, working in the food banks. These people who had master degrees, who had PhDs, who had all the degrees, all the qualifications, all of experience, but could not even find a job and found themselves homeless. You see, family, when we as a people, we sit back at times and we talk about the racism, the injustices, the inequalities of life. We talk about these subject matters that have put upon us by a system that was put in place by people of other cultures, and that we sit here, argue, yell, fight to try to get in. When we feel as though that because they established a system, a kingdom, that we want to go ahead and argue and fight that they are wrong for not allowing us to get into the system that they had created. Why is that? One of the idiotic things I heard today was I went and bought some ice cream from my brother, selling ice cream. He's 58 years old, right there in Pretoria. And we got on the subject matter of, the how the system is. But how we got on that subject matter was I asked him where he was from, and he shared some of the places he's been. He said he was from Zimbabwe, and so he talked about Mugabe, who used to be the president. For those who know, he said, I said, "Oh, I liked Mugabe," and I said, most people like Mugabe, right? And he said, "No, I didn't like the man." And I said, "Why wouldn't you like him?" He said he ran all the white people away, the farmers. And then we had no work, or we didn't have anything for farming. And I said, "What? My brother, what are you talking about?" He said he ran the white people away, who were the farmers, which left them destitute. And I said, hold up. Something came in my mind that I remember. This happened. I came across a video about a year ago. And this video was of when they changed the law in Zimbabwe that the farmers could come back and get their land. This video had Zimbabweans who were praising that these European farmers came back, and they were applauding, and they were like, "Thank goodness, Mr. Johnson, you're back, and we got work, and we're going to be working for you," and all this thing. And I was thrown back. I could not believe my eyes nor my ears. How could we as a people who I asked this brother today, brother, why couldn't you all do farming yourself? And he said, they took the machinery with them. And I said, brother, who told you you needed machinery? He said, because to do the farming, you need machines. And I said, Africa has been around for tens of thousands of years, and we never need a machine. Matter of fact, my brother, if you take a seed and drop it in the ground, what will it do? And that 50-year-old Zimbabwean told me, it's going to grow. Now you tell me, why do we need machinery? I said, I'll tell you why there's machinery. See, we were the ones who were doing the farming. How is it that if we're on the ground cultivating crops, that when Mugabe kicked out the Europeans, farming went plummeted when we were the worker bees? How is it this could happen? You know what his answer was? We forgot how to do farming. I said, get out of here. You cannot tell me how an African can forget to farm when that's all we've done. We were herders, agriculturalists, seamstress. We had scientists and mathematicians in our own circle of a community. We had doctors. We had all of these things. And you mean to tell me, brother, that because the Europeans that got kicked out of Zimbabwe, who took the machineries with them, that the farming came to a complete halt and nobody had jobs? When I saw this video a year or so ago, these brothers and sisters were praising the Europeans who came back as though they were the savior for the land because they're bringing this farming back. And when I told the brother, I said, the only reason for machines was not for the black man who did the farming to make his job any easier. It was all to get more crops to make more money. You see, the machines can do 10 times as much as a one man. But the reason for that is to make more money. Thank you very much there, you love y'all. Mass production. This is what we have to understand. Why is it that we fight to get into a system of racism? Why do we feel as though we have to be at a place of being of equal? We want equality. Equality for those who have shown that they are the children of the devil. I'm not saying all. I'm saying those who are supporting a system to have racism against people. How is it that we would try to force down a door in a system? You know, I had a dream last night, and this dream comprised of this right here, family. Every morning, I watch my brothers and sisters pack up their bags, put on their clothes every morning. And many of y'all gonna know, probably do this too. Come from afar off, from your small villages, your small towns, and you pack up and you bring yourself and prepare yourself. You grab a meal on the way going to the big belly of the beast, the city, for work. And as this energy of a system that is magnetized workers to come in, to even create the system of a beast, that we pour our energy, we pour our trades, our talents, our gifts into it, and we create the wealth, and we create it to become a great machine, humongous machine that sits there and divvies out portions of crumbs to each one as you make this beast bigger. And as you try to fight for what you think is rights, as you're thinking you're wanting equality, you're wanting better jobs, you're wanting better pay, you're wanting better housing, you want better business opportunities, that you're fighting into a system that was created against you. Why would one want to try to get into a system that will cause you to be dependent, that at any given moment, that those who are out here homeless, who built their lifestyles on this foundation called a system, a job? You bought your houses, you bought your cars, your clothes, you send your kids to school, and you bank on that this job will be around forever. And that this job that you have become so bought into, you forgot the main principles of life. But within the system, because the system that is in place is going to pressure you to talk like them, walk like them, behave like them, think like them, dress like them, and you watch all of who you are. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? See, my student, I got a student right here. Oops, I'm trying to point this way right here. My student, this is her right here. As she's sitting here listening, this is Africa that needs to sit still as she's listening. I hope that you are getting something here because I'm about to go somewhere with this. The system that we pour our energy to have sucking the life out of us to lose the very creativity that the Almighty had put into you in order for you to stand and rise, to live a life of peace, justice, and freedom. Can't you see this capitalistic society that we live in? Many of you have not had the privilege of going outside of your country, outside of your city, to see how the rest of the world is. Many of you are glued to a computer, to a cell phone, and trying to get a glimpse of what is going on in this world. Many of you have taken a liking to some of these Western worlds like America. And I find that many brothers and sisters in the African countries, the 15 I've been to, are fighting to get in to be like America. And you don't even realize what's coming down the road. I told a sister yesterday, you will be amazed as what goes on in America, that South Africa will easily be able to see what's going to come around the corner because of this thing we call a system in place. South Africa just had what? Some mass shootings and stuff. You got guns on the street. We know there's robbing. We know there's shooting and killings and all that right there. But you don't know that the spirit of what is upon America is the same spirit that is on South Africa and the rest of the world. A system that we're fighting, trying to get in and get rights, justice, equality. We are fighting and pressing into a system that was created against you. Yet you think that it's supposed to bend over and give you what your desires are, which is far from the truth. Stay with me, because I'm going somewhere with this family. We have put so much time and energy into this system, your job, institutions, corporations, all of these things that we think are so important in life, and we forget the most basic things of where we stand as a people. You know, one of the greatest things of weaponry that an enemy can ever do is get you to become like them. Isn't this true? When you have somebody, a friend, who you meet, either two things going to happen when y'all grow together and build a relationship. You're going to become more like them, or they're going to become more like you. Whomever has that power of influence, the other is going to become like them. Because as both will size themselves up, figuring and seeing each other out, the one that has the power, sometimes, they may be better looking than you are, that you think, or may have more money than you. They may be more prestigious in your eyesight. They may be connected with someone else. They may even look different than you that you praise. And you will conform and change to be like them. The weaponry that we have faced here on this earth, I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, green, orange, whatever. There are those who know that this system that has been put in place has robbed many of people, not only of their spirituality, but even of them being a human being, a spiritual being, and then a human being, and being treated with the respect, the utmost respect. But because the system that's been around since the beginning of time, many of us don't understand what's going on. Yeah, there's groups that rise up and try to go against the system and push against that system, that government system, and the organizations and the institutions. There have been many of them who have rose up and died for trying to fight against this system. And where do we stand today? Has the war been won? Many believe that the war has been won because of their status quo, their accomplishment, maybe what they get monetarily, the position on their job. They believe that they've received freedom, that the conditions that they have in their life or the accommodations that make them feel great or suits them where they are, whether it's the makeup or the hair or the clothes that makes them feel like something beyond than what they thought they were when they didn't even know who they were. You see, when you take somebody's identity, you can get them to behave however and be like, act like, and do like whatever you want them to do, because that's the nature of a beast. Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this, family. I look around Africa and I see the good, the bad, the ugly. I've met the nastiest Africans. I've met the nicest Africans. And when I say Africans, I'm talking about all of us of color. I've met those who will steal from you, rob you, kill you. I met those who will turn their back on you, take advantage of you. I have had those who were nice enough to give me a shirt off their back or share a plate of food with them. I have seen those who had little to nothing invited me in their house. Look at my videos. I had, when I was in Tanzania, a mother of two sitting there and only had a bowl to eat. She took a break, and as I approached her, she said, "Have a seat and have some." And in my own ignorance, I refused her, thinking I was doing her a favor by trying to save more of a portion for her and her kids, and she wouldn't hear it. This woman who had little to nothing had so much love in her heart that she was willing to break bread with me. And I've seen men who's gotten millions of dollars who would not even give a man on the street a penny if he was on his last meal, and would sit there and blame him for the position he's in and don't have not a heart in his soul. I've seen white men who have who have put their hand out as a means of help to me, gave me an ear of a gold nugget to be able for me to see how to do differently in my life. And I've had those who's chased me down when I was a kid and they was trying to kill me. I've had those who wrongfully used me. I've had those who've called the cops on me. I've had those who've done those wrong things. I've had those white men there who looked out for my military career when I was in the military. I had a black commander who tried to destroy my military career. I had white people who sat there, who marched down the roads with white sheets on, calling themselves Ku Klux Klansmen, who would hang the next nigger on the street corner if they could catch him. I have had white cops who, when I was stopped in the middle of nowhere, called me boy, degraded me and belittled me to try to tempt me to do something so he can shoot my ass and just leave me on the ground bleeding. I've seen it all in my life. I've seen the nicest Chinaman who can have a conversations with you and will even break bread with you. But I've seen some of the nastiest Chinese people who would look through you like you dirt on the ground. I've seen them all. And what am I getting at? In this world system that we live in, we all have evilness, an evil spirit that reigns within all of us. Yet, why is it that if we recognize that, we're fighting to get in a system that is evil? How is that? I'm gonna put a link in because I'm continuing this conversation. I'm gonna ask 5 questions and I'm gonna continue this conversation so that we can really see why are we doing what we do in the things of fighting to get into a system when we should be fighting into getting to the kingdom. Now I know people are gonna be like, this guy here, he's going to be preaching and all that there. Let me tell you something. Don't let the evil ones try to come in and portray the Almighty to be such a thing that they want to define, that their own nasty, evil, wicked ways cause you to not even to walk away from the true living Almighty that is. Let's talk about if you can acknowledge there is a good and evil on in this world. Why are we trying to fight to get into the evil and not try to fight to get into the good? Why is it that we are so pressed upon getting into an evil, corrupt system when there is a system in place for us to be in? You know, the interesting thing is that, like I said, I've been to 15 African countries. Do you know South Africans? They refer to themselves as Black. I don't hear that in majority of the African countries I go to. I see the majority I've been to. They don't refer to themselves as Black. But we do know that even taking on this idea of our skin color, like this means something to everybody, that they have boxed us in referring to our own selves as a color. Isn't this a trap? Because then that if we then fall into what they want us to believe, we will behave and believe the very thing that we are less than and cannot achieve. Isn't this true? Who told you you were Black? Though the skin I'm in is a signpost to where I originated from as a people on a continent that they call Africa. I don't care a hill of beans of if it's the name is Africa, Albacan, or whatever names we want to give it. That doesn't mean nothing at the end of the day of whether or not you're gonna walk your life out in the peace and freedom, or you're going to be living your life in misery. Who told us we were black? How do we get to reference ourselves in a way that is so demeaning? Let me put this link in, family, because I want to go ahead and dive into this because this is going to help a lot of people. Because this thing here, what I'm talking about, is something I had to go up against when I was 38 years old. I need 5 people, and I definitely need a sister to come in, and I need a panel because I want to ask some questions, and then we're going to get into it. Because if we're going to fight racism, are we fighting against the wrong system? If we're going to fight for something, shouldn't we be able to know how to use the power that is in order to break down doors? I mean, if you're going to put out a fire, don't you know how to put out that fire? Not all fire. You use water. You got wood fires and coal fires and electrical fires and gas fires. We got all kind of fires, combustion of liquid fires. And how do you put out a fire? This system we're in, how do you overcome it? The link is in the chat. I need 5 people to call in, and I need one of our lovely sisters to call in as well. We'll be on the panel, and I'm going to ask 5 questions to bring this whole idea of where we are to a place that's going to free many of our people. Because there are those who sit there and say, go black, you talk about the racism, you talk about this and that, and they missing the big picture of what I am doing. Or let me say what the Almighty is using me for in order for our people to be set free. If we want to be effective for our children's children's children, do you want to continue to be able to live a life, and they live a life, that those here on earth who has the money, who has the power, that they have to be the slave to? You see, they don't need slavery anymore when it comes to free labor. We can get people to submit to our will because of this creation of money. And we lost our everlasting mind, not knowing that life can be lived without money. Come on now, y'all. How many of y'all got ancestors out here or relatives to this day who's living out in villages who has little to no money? There are societies in Africa that don't even use money. There was a saying there in America, a native said, the natives of America, when the Europeans came and started to create civilizations, the story is that the European came to the Indian in their village and told them that they were going to have to build them houses. They're going to have to shop at the grocery stores, that they are going to have to, go to these places to do business, whether it's go to the doctor, go to the dentist. And the native said to the European, why should we be part of this civilization if we have to get up in the morning to go work, to get money, to go ahead to build a house, to get money, to go buy for food, when we're living off the land for free, and we do that anyway? What? See, y'all, some of y'all just missed this. Why are we going to go into a system that requires you to make money to live in a house, transportation, and clothes on your back when we had it already. You see, they say that Africa was overtaken by the shiny little mirrors and the little bit of trinkets that were brought into the country that Africans were amazed. Isn't that where we are today? When we see people who are driving around in big cars and big houses that we get all like, and I gotta have that now, and you leave the very thing where you was at peace. Get up in the morning, go hunt your food, come back. The women's doing their role, the man's doing their role, the children's doing their role. When it's time to have kids, the husband and wife, they go ahead and do their role and live happily ever after and had fun doing it. Pressures for what? Because if I have a job that's my foundation and I build a house on it, buy a car and clothing and all this. And when the job goes at any time they want to, what falls? Why is it that we are fighting to get into a system to where you have to be dependent upon the system to take care of you? That any given moment that many of y'all have experienced, even during the COVID, when the businesses started to plummet, jobs weren't plentiful, people had a lack of means and had to figure out. We became so dependent on food source, reliable on different sources to deal with everyday living. We don't know what to do. Isn't this true? Let me continue. I need 4 more people. I got one brother coming in. I'm gonna ask 5 questions. This is not to embarrass nobody. This is not to challenge your intellect. This is simple questions. This is gonna be simple questions. It's either a yes or no. I need 4 more people. I need a beautiful sister to come in too, because with this masculine and feminine energy that we possess, it creates the image of God, if you will. And so we have to understand, family, that if we are going to sit here and fight with the system, that we want fair and equitable treatment, we have to stop and pause for a minute and say, what is this all for? Can I not, like I told a man today, can I not drop seed in the ground and the food source grows? Can we not let me buy me 1 cow or 2 cows, a male, female, and have calves and grow from there, or goats or sheeps? With that, because the world is going to want that. And then now I can go ahead and use that money if I want to now dig a borehole for my water, get a windmill to create my electricity, and now I'm free. What more do I need now? What more do I need? Because if I got a group of people who does the clothes over here, the one who slaughters the food and prepares the food and knows how to cook, and the one over here who's doing the things of some other type businesses that we all could use together, what money source do we need? Africans has been doing this for thousands of years. The universe has. It's because of capitalistic societies that have been grown to bring in people to build their wealth, while we complain about our pay, about our freedom, that we get up in the morning, we drag our tails and get on trolls, and we're packed in like sardines. We're taking the money that we're making to even for the transportation that takes a portion of that we made to take us to and from, which takes out of our own mouths and for our babies to be fed or clothed or the roof or the electricity, and we got to deal with that. Then the energy spent all day of stressing and trying to go ahead and figure out how we as a people are going to make it through the day. Yes, sir, with the fear of that if I upset one manager or person that I might possibly lose my job and then leave myself out there without. When the Most High have given us the things that are able to produce and reproduce itself, Why would I want to sit here and wonder why in the world I cannot make it if I don't have a job? Is this true? Why is it that if I get me a watermelon, I spit the seeds out and throw them away like it is worthless, and I cannot use those to put in the ground to have me a orchid of watermelons? The beautiful thing of life is that it produces itself, that all things we have produces seed, to include animals. Something as simple of what God put on this planet for us to have. We have tossed it away, put it in the hands of others to go ahead and give it to us, for us to become reliant on them in order for us to have a living, when living is free. How is it that we have a Black communities? I've seen it all day today, yesterday, since I've been in South Africa, and I'm seeing mass loads of Africans around, and I don't see no gardens. We don't have land. Oh no, find land. How is this that we have lost how we are as a people to become this people that we sit here and fight? We sit here and fight and want to get in to a system that has corrupted and let down so many people by its biases and its prejudice. And because of the frustration, because of the anguish, because of the pain, we turn around against each other and attack each other. That the pressures have become so bad, we will turn to alcohol and drugs that these businesses know. Put on your corners, put in your neighborhoods, send it on through the system. A lot of Black folks who do it and sell to their own people, to be able to suppress the issues of life, and by us utilizing these drugs and these alcohols and these things to go ahead and just keep us or rock us to sleep, to keep us under an illusion that everything is okay. And many people who can't make it in the system feel depressed, oppressed, depressed. All because of ignoring the simplicity of life. Drop a seed in the ground. It's going to grow. And guess what? It will reward you with more seeds. Get an animal, and that seed in that male will plant it within the female animal. And guess what? It's going to reproduce and bring you more. How is it we lost the fundamentals of life and became so dependent upon a system that we're fighting and trying to get into when it's against us? I'm gonna put the link back in here, and I need at least 3 more people to call in so we can continue this right here, because I got some questions. Okay, we need 2 more people we got coming in. We got another person coming in. We got a sister. Thank you, sister, for coming in. Because if we're going to free the minds, family, if we're going to be able to get past this thing that we call this injustice of life, if we're going to get past the inequalities of life, if we're going to get past the beast that we bow down to, looking for it to save us, we got to come up with something different. And I already got the answer. We can talk about Black and Pan-Africanism, and we can talk about power and all this other things, and it's done little to nothing. We need one more coming on in, one more. Link is in the chat. I need one more person so we can continue this right here. Because if we, Yah the Most High has been setting upon me to rethink this whole thing of the bringing the people out of the land of wickedness into a land of wickedness. What good is it? What good is it if we can sit here and keep arguing about, white man and the system and how unfair it is and all these things when we not right ourselves? How, how can we? How can we argue against a corrupt system when we corrupt within our own selves? Somebody got to help me on that one. Because then if we realize then that there is something beyond than just this racism that we have handed over to those to be able to use against us, then we then have to realize then who is really the ones at fault. We got 5 people in here. Thank goodness. Welcome to each and every one of you, brothers and sisters. I want to first thank you that you all decided to come in and to be part of this conversation. For those who do not know me, I am your man, not your boy. And and my thing is this right here is that my channel is not for debate. It's not about arguments. I'll cut you off and I'll just send you on your merry way. I don't get into that. I don't believe in people of self-destructing and bringing bad behaviors and habits in to try to debunk or argue about what they think. It ain't about what we think. Not at this moment. It don't matter about what we think. There's a billion different ideas out there, and everybody think theirs is right. So, thank you, panel, for coming in. You can unmute yourself, Don P, if you will. CC, let me see if I unmuted you. You can unmute yourself, CC. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and I want basically yes or no, and I'm going to maybe ask you why, and we'll go from there. I think that's simple enough. So we're gonna start with Don P and moving over to Imagine, over to Lucky, over to Kitio, and CC. Don P, is it right or wrong to kill somebody?
Because you didn't use a key word, I have to say, because I can't say 100% no.
Okay, let me make it simpler. Maliciously without cause, is it wrong to kill somebody?
It is wrong to do that.
Okay. What about you, Imagine?
I did not get the first part of the question.
Yeah, without malice or without
the what?
Without, is it wrong to kill somebody?
In defense of your life, no, but kill somebody maliciously, yes.
Okay, Lucky, what about you?
I mean, human being, we still animals though. We still like lions or monkeys,
yes or no?
dogs.
Yes or no? That's all I need is a yes or
I
no.
would say it depends. It cannot just be yes or no neither. If somebody aggressed me or trying to do something to me, you know what I'm saying, my life is on the line, I'm gonna kill him because I got kids.
I said, okay, all right. So, all
but
right.
if it's not threatening, I won't kill him. So that's what I'm saying, it depends.
Kitio, what about yourself?
Well, it's a very skeptical question, but yeah, to kill is wrong
Thank you very much.
because it's
CC.
To kill is wrong. I agree.
Okay, let me ask the second question. Is it wrong to sleep with another man's wife or another woman's husband? Don P.
Yes, it is absolutely wrong.
Imagine.
Yes, sir.
Lucky.
Yeah, it's wrong, man. It's a curse.
All right, Kitio.
Well, I'm going to skip the answer because we can't say whether it's right or wrong because the unity of a man and a woman is based on our own personal beliefs, which nowadays has just embraced us. Those very beliefs were given to us through the Bible. So
Okay,
nobody wouldn't know whether it's right or wrong.
I'm simply talking about a husband and a wife who got married with a vow,
All right.
right? Is it wrong
Okay.
for you to go over to another man's house and sleep with his wife?
Now it's completely wrong. It's
Cece, what
completely
about
wrong.
you?
Adultery is wrong.
Okay. Question number three. Is it wrong to take what is not yours or steal? Is it wrong? Don P. Oh, let me start with CC.
Covet and stealing, yes, they're both wrong.
Kiyo.
Yeah, wrong. That's wrong, bro. It's
Lucky.
completely wrong.
Yeah, man, totally wrong, 100% wrong. Not gross.
Imagine. I think Imagine got a little
Yes, it's wrong.
connection. Okay. And Don P.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I said
Question
yes,
number.
it's wrong.
Yes, I heard you. Question number 4. Is it right or wrong to um, to lie against somebody, to bear false witness, to tell a lie against somebody? Don P. Is it wrong to tell a lie to somebody?
It is just as wrong to do that as to maliciously kill someone.
Okay. Imagine.
Yes, it's wrong.
Lucky.
Yeah, it's definitely, man, it's wrong. Lie about somebody innocent.
Just in
Kiyo.
line with that. Just in line with that, it's completely wrong.
Yeah.
60.
Bearing false witness is wrong.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask each one of you all this question. Where did you get or establish your right and wrong from? If you said yes or no to the question, where did you get or how did you come up with that these 4 questions that I asked were wrong or right? CC, I'll start with you.
Torah.
So you follow the Torah.
Yes, sir.
Kiyo.
Well, I give all my answers based on my instincts and also my moral values.
Where'd you get those values from?
From, I'm going to say, partially from the Western culture, which has been actually imposed on us blacks.
Okay. Lucky, what about you?
Um, I mean, I might need I know you just want a direct answer, but I might need like 20 seconds because I just go by two,
Go
just
ahead.
like
Explain.
CC's.
Go ahead.
Well, just like CC's, I would say religion, the Torah, as that's what I read and follow. But the very first one would be myself, my natural self. I'm a son of God, so that means I also have, God instinct. So whatever reaction come to me, that's how I react back. Whatever action come to me, that's how I react back. So if you're nice, of course I'll be nice. If you ain't nice, I will stay away from you. If you're a threat,
Okay.
then I will react.
Okay. Imagine.
I personally feel like that's in our DNA. We are our ancestors. Yes, we were forced to be over here in the Western world. Yes, we were forced to take on a religion that wasn't originally ours. I, just like yourself, got away from the religion and had a personal relationship with my creator. And when I got away from the religion, I started realizing these things are inherently inside of me.
Okay, Don P.
I got mine from my grandmother, who got it from the Torah and gave it to me. And that's what I've been practicing.
Okay. Last question. Do you believe in a higher power, a God, a supreme being, an almighty?
Tomorrow.
Start with you, Don P.
Um, there is only one true living Elohim who created all of this, and he is going to show himself mighty even as his plan is being played out in the world right now. It's being played out in the world right now. But if you don't know the signs, you ain't gonna recognize which time you're in.
Okay. Imagine.
All right, perfect question. I got away from the indoctrination and the brainwashing, and I started thinking on my own. So when I got here, they told me that there was something else over me, but they couldn't prove it. I know I did not get here by myself, and I know the sun is there for a reason. So I know that there is something greater than me. What name you
Okay.
can put on it, I'm not sure, but I know there is something greater than me. And one last second, please. I was saying the other day on another show, just like we can create a rat that glow in the dark with blue eyes, what if there is a race or a species or entities out there that is more intelligent than us that actually created us? So that's my answer.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Lucky.
Definitely. Yeah, I believe in God, man. I mean, I feel like I'm way too old, man. I feel like I'm like 20, 50 million years old, or even like way, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, we're not just here, man. It's not a mistake. We are on a mission, bro. We're on a mission. It
Okay.
depends, man. Some people just drunk off of life and you don't pay attention. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yeah, but I believe in God, man. You know what I'm saying? I can show
Okay.
you some.
I
I'm sure
appreciate
you
it.
see. But yeah, I do
Okay.
believe in God, bro. We
Okay.
all
I
son of
appreciate
God,
it.
man.
Kiyo, do you? What is your answer?
Well, I don't know. Most of us in general, we see God to be like what we were portrayed to know. But as far as I'm concerned, I do believe that there is a supreme energy which is actually controlling whatsoever is going on, and that we are a process of uh, of a civilization which is constantly changing over time based on where our planet is coming from and from all analysis we've studied. So until we are able to meet up with maybe the next civilization and so on and so forth, nobody can say what is coming up.
Okay, CC. Let me take you off mute. Oh, you got yourself on mute. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. The creator that created all creations, the great I am, a higher, absolutely. Absolutely. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Amen.
Okay. I ask these questions because it sounds as though the majority of the panel would agree that there are wrongdoings in what they would consider a right or wrong part of life. That it's wrong to maliciously go kill somebody, that it's wrong to go to another man's wife, or a woman to go to another woman's husband and sleep with them. That to take something that is not yours, it is wrong. To lie against somebody in order for your own selfish gain, what have you, that it is wrong. And that we've heard also from the panel that they believe that these sense of rights and wrongs in their belief system stems from either an inherent knowing within, or an outside influence from family members, or those who might believe that it's been in them since the beginning of time, or their time, or however the time was, that we all can agree and have established thus far that there is a right side of life and there is a wrong side of life. Because if you say there's wrong to do this, that means then there's a right side of something. I also asked the question, do you believe in a supreme being, higher power, a most high God, or what have you, that is beyond just yourself? And I gather the majority of the panel said there is. Now, here comes the question or the subject matter at hand, what I have using this platform today, what I've put before you all. If we recognize the very things that we've said, and I'm quite sure majority of the panel have read Bibles and scriptures, ancient writings, scrolls, what I call them. I don't call it Bibles, whatever. We do know that we can find the very thing that we have just attested to. You can find it in the ancient writing, the scriptures, of these things that they would call commandments. We would also, by our own life experience, will find that if these things that have happened to us, a man taking a loved one's life, or taking your own life, or your life, somebody taking your life, or stealing from you, invading your private space with your wife or your husband, that would be wrong. And what I find is that, though, when we begin to talk about the subject of God, everybody runs. When we start to talk about the ways of the system of the world, we never refer to what God says. We never try to establish, why is it in a world that we're in? We love it so much that we try to force our way in it instead of getting ourselves out of it. We all claim to have some type of spiritual belief system, but are so dependent on a entity, that system, to take care of us, as though that we don't have a higher being, higher power, or entity, a powerful source that we can lean and rely on to take care of us. We argue about the racism, we argue about the inequalities, we fight about your justices, and we do all of these things in a evil system that we claim that the very one we serve has no power to even look after us. How is it that then we have given up our power and our strength, our God, our Almighty, our Yahweh, our Yeshua, over to a system that does not care about anybody but itself, that we are willing to become transformed into what it would have us to be, and still come out of our own mouth talking about what is right or wrong? How is it that we could subscribe to all of these different teachings or these different ideologies that the system says is good and is or bad, and will totally ignore the very thing that is inherent within us, and will promote the very evilness of the world, but still have a problem with it when it doesn't recognize who we or you are as a person? How is that? We can have dialogues and conversations all day long, and we do, and nothing is accomplished. We can have Julius Malema out here fighting with the EFFs, and we can have whether it is the the Black Panther parties, and we can have the Black Lives Matters, and we can have the individual peoples, the Pan-Africanisms, the ADOS, and the FBAs, whatever, and we can all of these groups that I can't even call, that sits here individually in their own collective effort, fight and press against a system, and yet expect justice, equality, and get nowhere. But then when we sit back out of our own mouth, our own spiritualities, and claim that there is this most high that we, majority of us, believe in, don't understand even the ancient writings that tells us don't even be part of it. Panel, I'm gonna continue to talk right here. I appreciate y'all coming in right here, answering the questions, but I'm gonna continue right here to talk, because I'm gonna lay some things out for you all, okay? For everybody out here, to include myself. So thank you very much for coming in. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. And I'm about to lay and drop this out right here. Please stay with me as I go ahead and give this right here, lay this out. Because if we can stop and pause and think about the things that we're doing, and why we are in situations as a people. I don't care if you're black, white, orange, yellow, green. Everybody going to agree that they believe there's a right and there's a wrong. And in that under that umbrella of right and wrong, we still will cross the lines of that right and wrong in order for our own selfish gains, our own wantings and doings or desires to go and do what it is that we feel that is best for ourselves. But when it comes to collective, we have a grand argument of why this system is totally against us. You know, for you all that who don't know me, and I've you know, I'm approaching 2 years on this YouTube channel, and my whole reason for starting this channel was to bring to light that for those people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired in a system that is not for you, but yet against you, there are other places out there that you could possibly find a land of freedom for you to be fruitful, grow, reach your prosperity or your grander heights of where you should be for what the Most High have for you. But what I found is majority of people are so addicted to a system that even their fear that though they confess out of their mouth that they have an alliance with the Most High, the high power source, the God, the Yah, the Allahs, and all that right there, still have arguments fighting against a beast and have a love for a system so much because they depend so much on it that they are their worst enemy. Now, for those who've watched me for many of years, I've walked into Christianity at a very young age, a man who was about to commit suicide, take his life. And I had to ask the question when I was in a non-belief place, if there is a God or something, help me. There was a presence that came within the room that I was in. Nothing glory and glorifying and all these bells and whistles that most people have testimonies unlike what I have. It was something really subtle and simple. It was something that I will always contribute to be my Most High, that brought me into a place of peace. When my mind was gone, when I was troubled, when I was at my wit's end, when I was down and out, when I was depressed, oppressed, suppressed, when I was a weak vessel, when I cared nothing more for my life, I was ready to take it. But at that moment, I said, if there's a God, I wasn't in no Bible, I was in no religions, I was not in no churches, I was not in no mosques. All I know was that there was a presence that set me on a course to believe in this is what I call my high or my almighty power. But interesting enough, when I thought that the religion was the route to go, I delved into it and I went hard. And I went hard in it, studying that Bible, with whether it was through strong concordances, reading Greeks and Hebrew and understanding all these things that it comprised of. I got a grand understanding. Many of years I was confused, but yet stayed a course and tried to come to places of understanding. Many things that I've learned out of that Bible, scroll, scripture, ancient writings, whatever you want to call them. I found that there were things that agreed with my spirit, those things that begin to regurgitate what that was within me, to attest and agree as a witness that this is true. As I asked the panel, do you believe that one should not kill? I found that in the scrolls, the ancient writings, the Bible. Is it right for a man to go to another man's wife and sleep with him, or a woman to sleep with another man's husband? I found that to be true. Found that in the Bible. And it went on of these things that I had inherently, or it was already in me to know that right or wrong. I found that to be in some of these writings. So I continued my journey. And as I continued my journey into growing to what I became as what they would call a minister, I began to share this power that I experienced and the rulership that I gave and submitted over to this system, spiritual system, that I saw the two sides of life. I came out of a place that was full of darkness. I came out of a place that when I was rotten, no good, I agreed and had abortions with women, children born out of wedlock, fighting and rebel rousing, a drunkard, a liar, a thief. I did all that. And what I found was it took me to the end of the road, a place of pain, when I had to call to check to see if there was this powerful source, this God is what I said, if there is such, help me. But as time went on, being about 20 years into this thing that they would call a ministry affiliated or being part of different churches, if you will, I began to notice some things. That it was man who really started to replace themselves in front of what I had found for my personal self, God. To have a rulership and a headship over man, to dictate based upon their position that they are the voice of God, instead of sharing with people how to attain or be able to receive one by simple measures of life. But what I found was that the churches, all that I was going to, were so strong attached to the world, they were unwilling to bring a people over into a new system. Hence, when I even was confronted with the biggest challenge in my life about who I thought I was as a Black man. Because at the end of the day, I was that Black man who was out there in the streets stealing, out there killing. Yes, I've killed many people. People say, you killed people? Yes, I did. I was in the military. I had blood on my hands. I have to admit that, and I had to repent for that by joining a man's military to take out people in order to retain those who are in power's wealth. A system that didn't care anything about me because of the color of my skin, but a system that only wants to take you and mold and shape you and form you into what it wants you to be. That we continue to this day, argue, fuss, and fight, trying to get into that damn door. And when we fight to try to get into the door, and those who make it in the door become as devilish as ever. They would think they obtained, they think they have achieved, they think they have become something, and don't even understand they became less than nothing. For they want to go ahead and try to share with you that the God they serve have blessed them by the very job or amount of money they make. When all in all, when you really check within, these people are as corrupt and evil as can be. and have no God in them. But we continue to want to be just like them. And so we fight daily, trying to open up that door of injustice, inequality, corruption, and evil, and not trying to open up the door in the system that is the land of milk and honey, the land of free. You see, they told us we were Black. Now, I don't want you guys up here who been through your books and reading that, yeah, you know, this word here, Moors, and these words here, and Kemet, and these words here. Believe me, I've done my studies and research, and I've been to those countries. We're not talking about that. If you want to call yourself Black, I'm not saying to call yourself Black. Look yourself in the mirror and see the color of your skin, but I'm talking about there's something greater within you than who you are beyond the outside of it. Because at the end of the day, how are you as a spiritual being? Because we sit here and we can put on the clothes and the cologne and the makeup and the wigs and the makeups, and we dress ourselves up to be pretty good. And as we take a step back and look at the car we drive and the houses we have and the bank accounts that we have, and we think we did something and achieved nothing. Because every man has his day when he falls down and he takes his last breath. And all your riches and all what you acclaim in your degrees and all that we have achieved in this life ain't gonna mean nothing. So why do we spend so much energy and time and effort fighting for what's on our skin color, trying to fight to get into a system that cares nothing about you? Because when you talk to the Hispanics, you talk to the Europeans, you talk to the Greeks, you talk to the Spaniards, you talk to the Portuguese, you talk to the Chinamen, you talk to the Japanese, you talk to the Australians, every last one of them will agree on what they believe the right and wrong is, and will answer like the panel did tonight, that the system is corrupt, it is evil. Everybody agrees with that. But the trickery of it is the system have got you to buy in to an identity that you want to defend and fight for. And nobody wants to stand up for the almighty of what is right against what is wrong. You see, there's nothing wrong with going over there to go ahead and spill out what thus God says about the way the treatment is of a people. But to do it for your own selfish gain and your own agendas is why we are where we are. We'll go Black. I was told that God punished us as a people and scattered us abroad because of the fact that we sinned and we lost God. And so the Europeans came and took over us and all that right there. Look, I don't know if that's true or not. What I mean by I don't know is true or not, meaning that I can find that in scripture. Did it apply to us? And if it did or if it didn't, we do know one thing. When you break any of the commandments, whether you believe it or not, there are consequences, which brings on a whole lot of misery and pain when you do such. Many people have died by cheating on spouses and get themselves caught in a mix of mischief and evil and wicked ways and get their lives taken, break up homes and destructions of families and children suffers. Many of people have gone through life where they have lied against one another, and you know that consequence comes up against you, and you finally realize that the words you spoke was nothing more than a curse against you. We realize all of these things that we have done have placed us into a deserted place, a desert place, a dry place, a depressed place, a place of despair. We know that the actions we do of the consequences, whether you believe in a most high or not, that those consequences come back on you and cause misery and pain. We do know that. We do know, even if you think you are self-righteous, that you don't do such a thing by the observance of how other people are doing it, that you know it, you don't like when it's done to you or anybody else that you see it has been done to. You see, coming out of America, you know, when the evilness and the wickedness that exists, not just there, but it's all over the world. But I get a great opportunity being in Africa to watch a continent that is wanting to be so much like the Western world, they don't even realize what they're asking for. Like I said, South Africa, this is where I be. And I say to my South Africans, you best distinguish who you're going to serve, right or wrong, the right side of life or the wrong side of life. Because if you want to be part of the system that's going to shake and break you, if you want to be part of that system that's coming down the pike, because all you got to do is watch, y'all only 28 years into what you call your independence. But even then you're not really independent because you're so tied into this world system. All you got to do is look across the Atlantic Ocean and see what's happening with America. Because it's true that this just recently was a mass shooting, something that's very common in America. That there are Black people who kill each other more than the white cops killing each other. You see, y'all smelling that and you're seeing it and you're touching it and feeling it here in South Africa, but you haven't seen where it's going to take you. You see the taste of drugs and drug addicts and homelessness right now. That's all spins from a system that has caused rejection and caused the heartaches and pains from an evil system that we've been trying to fight to be part of because we believe that it is the so-called provider of our life. You don't see what goes on in America. The homelessness, the drugs, the crime. But this so-called shame on Africa for its development. Oh, undeveloped Africa, third world Africa, that we are fighting to be just like the rest of the world. And while we have cultures come in and build civilizations and bring in developments, we don't even realize that the nature of that beast is ready to eat you up and spit you out. Because while we lose our minds and lose who we are and our gifts and talents that were given to us, I find it very peculiar that we act like we don't know how to take care of ourselves by providing our food, our shelter, and our clothing on our own. Why is it that we're trying to kick down the master's door begging for help? Why, when we've been around for tens of thousands of years without the help of any outside force? It seems the more we welcome in, the more devastation that happened to our people. Ebola, AIDS, COVID. Where were we tens of thousands of years ago before any of this right here was supposedly a problem? But guess what? Even if one would argue that Ebola's been around for years, then if anybody knows about an ecosystem, it has its rightful place where, hey, such is life, things do take you out. Nothing says you're immune to anything that's been placed on the universe. But how is it, family, that we as a people who fight for rights to those who've created this economy, this system that we want in so bad, that I watch our brothers and sisters will bleach their skin, will narrow their noses, they will do everything to look like, sound like, to try to have an edge on those who are trying to get in to get jobs? I watch people work on their dialect of their English or their language, whatever country they're in order for them not to stand out, to sound like, and possibly act like the system that wants to go ahead and shape and mold you into what they want you to be. I've watched now there in America why the LGBT now has put this pressure on school systems and houses and homes to where now, your children are questioning their sexuality. And we subscribe to it. And yet there is a system in place that was simply put in the scrolls, the ancient writings, that these things were foretold thousands of years ago. I don't believe in that. I don't care about that. But you're the same one who agrees in right and wrong. And what is that gave you that inherent instinct of knowing what is right and wrong? You didn't come up with it on yourself. But isn't it true There are those who are before us who had to study life or even study this thing that we would call God to come to a place of understanding the makeup of it. But see, those who came in, they put a face on it. They painted the pictures, they painted angels, and they told you to serve them. And we go to the churches, we go to the synagogues, we go to the mosques, we go to the cathedrals, we go to these places. And the very things that it says in the scrolls, the ancient writings, the Bible is what you call it, we're doing things contrary to what it is. And why is that? Because very few of us don't even get in to find out for ourselves who this creator is that you claim you believe. We would rather for a person to sit here and usher us along down a wrong path into believing some silly things that has nothing to do with the Most High and wonder why we're stuck in positions where we are. Isn't it true? You can let people come, usher people into your neighborhoods, into your climate, into your environment, into your space, and have them tell you who you are. Isn't this true? And yet we fight and argue trying to push down their door of this system, this capitalistic society that they have created, that you want to get in so bad. That they had created a piece of paper to put a dollar amount on it that many will die for to have it. That is worthless. Into having you believe that you need them, that you can't take something simple from nature to plant a seed in a ground to grow food, and the beautiful animals that are there to serve man for food source, if will. I want to hear about from those vegans who took a European side of eating, not to disrespect you. You don't have to eat meat if you don't want to. Everybody has a right to not eat meat. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I'm saying all the food in the world that we as a people can fight amongst each other instead of the very system that is against us, we can walk away from. For those who wants to follow a system that eats you up and spits you out, y'all go for it. I'm the first one to raise my hand and say I used to be part of that system. That system is around us everywhere. There's nowhere I can turn that there is that system. There is not a system that is not of the Most High. It's there. The question of it is that are you willing and being able to stand for what is right and what is wrong? There are people who work jobs and they believe that they're not part of the system. And I say, how do you say such a thing? So let me give you an example. And I've said this before, and I've got other examples that I could share. How are you part of a system? Like I use myself because people get offended because, if I trample on their feet, they get mad and upset. When you go get a job within this system, and when I say a system, it is a system that is not of the Most High. This system is only for itself. It doesn't give any credence or honor or respect to the Most High. It will not even use the commandments or anything in the treatment of a people. It will go ahead and divide and label and title different groups or categories for people to be in order to separate people, to keep people from being one so that they won't go up against the powers that be, so that falls down when people are not getting what is rightfully theirs. But when you work for a system, something as simple as an administration, there are things that one must adhere to. I don't care what job you have. There are policies and rules that are in place that you must follow. And guess what? They will be contrary or contradictory to what the word it says in the ancient writings, the scrolls. But unbeknownst to you, you do your job every day. And as you do your job every day as an admin, you start to see things that are happening. You start to hear things and see things that are violating what's contrary to what you say you believe in, the Most High. You start to hear the backbiting. You start to see people who are unjustly persecuted or fired because of maybe who they are or what they are, whether it's from their sex, whether it's from their color, whether it might be because they just don't like them. Maybe they're from a different tribe. You start to see things happening where, the cutting corners, the illegal activities that might happen, reports that are coming out that are not true, they're fictitious. You start to see and you start to hear these things, and all of a sudden now you start to, begin to realize that it's my job. I know it's wrong, but this is what I need. So you go along with the get along game, and then you become part of that which perpetuates the system to grow in its evilness. Like I said, when I was in the military, I started out in administration. I used to have a top secret clearance. I used to be behind closed doors in private meetings. I used to hear the things that went on and see the things that went on. Me being in military, there again, being one that went across the globe, indirectly or directly, being part of a force that was taking the lives of people, I was a part of it. Because without me or anybody else, it could not happen. But they got you believing that your job that you're in is so important and they need you, that you go along with the program. Now, I know most of you all think that your job is innocent and it doesn't violate any of, what the Almighty has to say. And you think you're so far away from the system. Well, I say this right here. Anywhere in the system where it's corrupt, in one place, it's contrary. Everybody admits there's racism, there's unfairness, there's injustice. Everybody admits that the system in place, whether it's your judicial system, your government, all of this is part of that system. That we can agree there is mess that goes on within it. Why? They're human beings. These entities, corporation institutions, and these companies right here are all ran by human beings. And a lot of them are flat out evil. And only because it supports us in our livelihood, if you will, we now are bought in. We will zip our lip. We will say nothing. We will close our eyes and act as though that things don't even exist. And as soon as they spit you out, you're the first one crying foul and want to tell everybody about what the evils that happened within the place you work. Isn't this true? Let me share some word with y'all right here. Something simple and easy. This was written in thousands of years ago. And even if we can argue whether or not it was thousands of years ago, it's mighty interesting that we can admit that those scholars or whoever it was can say this does go back at least to the early 5th century. That there are some mighty interesting things that they talk about the word of God, Yeshua, y'all say Jesus, was mentioning about the very thing we are fighting and arguing against. The system. Many people don't even read for themselves to realize that this Spirit of God, who was sharing with the people about the system in place, don't have no parts of it. Stay away from it. For this system, they call it the kingdom, this kingdom of the devil or the evil or what have you, stay away and be not part of it. Let me break it down for you all, because this was written way before our time. And if this was at least acknowledged by one who had the pen to write it, can we not learn from it? If we see that this very writing of what they were going in the past, can't we learn from it? So let me share my screen real quick, and let's get into this real quick. I got about, I don't know, we'll see where this goes. Because we have to wake up and realize we're fighting against the wrong system. Who said you need to fight against a system if it don't want you? Who said that you have to be part and affiliate with a system that cares nothing about you? Look, I find some things that's very interesting. And I'll say this right here, that in the days of old, there were things that were said that we as a people should follow. If we can adhere to some policies and some rules, we will be in a better place than where we are today. How is it that we can go into a job and they got policies and procedures to follow, but we can't follow the Most High of the universe in respects and regards to the creation that was made perfect for us? Why would we go into a system that is contrary to it? Let me read some of this stuff right here in these scriptures here. Here in 24, and this right here for those who like to follow on in the book of Deuteronomy 6, it says this right here. And the Lord commanded us to do all the statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always. We've already admitted that we've established within ourselves, or we have an inherent establishment that was put in us to know the right and the wrong. And it was put there for our own good, that he might preserve us life as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, and he has commanded us. Now, the interesting thing is, for those who don't know this whole thing, I used to study this, know it in and out in the back of my hands. This is nothing more than a foreshadow of those things to come, meaning the word to come, to share with the people, to be with the people, and for an example for people to see, walking in the flesh like themselves, that you can overcome this thing of a system that has been put in place that has rulership over you. So this is before those things to come, but then let's go ahead and move on to the next then. Because it talked about this righteousness. The commandment was the thing for the righteousness of the people. But now the righteousness of God without the law, which I just read to you all, that this law that was put in place for people to follow, has been manifested, being witnessed by the laws and the prophets, even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Jesus Christ, unto all upon them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified or made straight, freely by his grace through the redemption that is Christ Jesus. I make note of that for you to understand that this spirit that came, that we all have, that we've already admitted, majority of us says that it is in us, that we know if somebody did such an act against us, we would say that is wrong. So we know then that that spirit of right and wrong, or right or wrong, whatever which way you want to say it, resides amongst us and in us. But then we go on further now, and it says this right here, because now we're talking about, hold up, I just passed mine. Now, we got to ask ourselves about the system that we're talking about, because this is what it's all about. We're fighting against the system about racism, inequalities, and injustices, and all that, by this whole scheme of things of the countries and the states and the land that you live in. And it says right here, by the writer, Paul, it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. This is what God was saying. Can you present yourself at least a sacrifice? What is living sacrifice? Holy. Can you at least put aside so that selfish desire that we always get ourselves into, that we know ain't no good? I'll use myself as an example. Like I said, I was out there running the streets, laying down with women, having abortions, then having babies, running out here, being a drunkard, being a rebel rouser, being in and out of jail, breaking laws, being all kind of things. And I was presenting myself to be a hell raiser, and I was out there and I was the best of them. But that day came where, like I told you, when I reached my crossroads, when my walls closed in, I came to end because it was a misery. It was a darkness. It was a dark hole in me that I could not face or wanted to live with anymore. that thank goodness or thank God that that's presence that was in there when I called out and said, if there is a God, please help me. And that peace fell upon me and it set me, of course, on my journey where I am to this day. But it says to be a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. I mean, we argue about people doing wrong against us, and yet we be dead wrong in the garbage that we do. We can hurt each other. We can go ahead and destroy each other. We can kill each other. We can do all this stuff towards each other, but expect everybody to respect us. But this is what this is right here, because here comes the warning right here. Be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. Oh, that sounds like now we should be doing some studying, brothers and sisters. Because why? Because we have conformed to this world. The world have gotten us to believe we're supposed to fight and kick down its door to give us fair, equitable treatment, to recognize us as a people, to respect us, when in all the while, we're knocking on the wrong door. When it's telling us we shouldn't even conform to the world. We need to transform by the renewing of our minds. Why? Because we have subscribed to garbage that this world has taught us, and our belief systems and our views and our opinions are so warped that so many of us who claim to be scholars and book readers and studiers and researchers, we become twice the devil from hell than we were before we even grabbed a hold of man's books. But let's move on. Because this right here talks about, what John was talking about here is, if the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. See, this is what the word of God was saying. This is what God's saying to the people. Look, don't be amazed that, when you decide to break away from this system, this world's going to hate you. Why? Because what you believe in, what you say, and what you stand for is contrary to what the world tells you. If you were of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I say unto you, the servant is not greater than the Lord. If they have persecuted you, they will also persecute you. If they persecute me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. Now, we will sit here and we're going to fight up against the fact that we want all this respect from the system, from the world, from the government, when it's not even ours to love. How is it? We expect all of this respect. They came and took our land. They came and took our freedom. They came and did all these things. Yeah. And now look at us though. Who have we become? You can sit here and say they came in here and started killing your own people and taken, stolen from. But ain't that what we turned out to be? Thieves and robbers and killers, liars, cheats, haven't we? But we can point a finger at the corruption of the system and yet don't even realize we are ones who are corrupt. We can sit here and talk about Black and Africans and all that right there, and that don't mean a hill of beans if you about as devilish as the worst ones that you call devil. Am I right? How do you get rid of racism? Only way you can get rid of racism if you disconnect, sever the umbilical cord away from the system and give it no energy, give it no life in order for you now to be set free. Anytime you're upset and you're mad and you feel like there's injustice and all that right there, and you're standing on what's right, it already's been written. It hates you because it hated me. Yeshua, the Son of God, the Spirit of God that was within that flesh, who came to provide a word as an example, to put that flesh at death, that we're supposed to sacrifice this flesh when we want to get crazy and go kill and steal and rob and all this stuff, that we can also, with the Spirit that was within us, of who we are, the likeness of, that we were called gods from God. Each place I'm going to around here in South Africa, it's the same conversation comes up, the system. But you don't understand. This is the problem. That's my African brothers and sisters. Every time I say something, but this is the problem. No, the problem is you. You keep saying this is the problem, and then you point the finger at the system. I thought that you said that you was the Son of God. I thought you said you believe in the Most High. I thought, and you expecting the system to help you? I thought you said, but this is the problem. No, the problem is you. Why are you trying to rely on a system to help you? There are many creative ideas. That's why we were created, to create. Everything that you see on the ground, on top of this earth, that doesn't slither, walks, grows out of the dirt, we created. The imaginations of our minds are so profound that those who have tricked us into believing we're under their control, and that we've become so submissive, the creativity has stolen the very thing for us to even advance. And don't even realize that our gifts and talents are the ones that are being used to be able to build what they want. Isn't that true? How much do we need in order to believe we succeed? Come out from among them. That's what is said in the scrolls, the writings, that you call it the Bible. Come out from among them, because it's going to transform you. It's going to transform your mind. That's why it says, by renewing your mind, be ye not conformed to this world, but by the transforming of your mind, that you may prove what that is good. See, we can't even prove today what is good or bad. They done flipped the script now. We can sit here and say, there ain't nothing wrong with a man marrying a man. There's nothing wrong with a woman marrying a woman. I've seen more brothers and sisters in my lifetime who's went across the other side of the road to the other team, because the world says you can have the freedom to choose what you want. We have rights. The only right you have, brothers and sisters, is righteousness. That's the only freedom you have, which is superior than you thinking that you're supposed to have a right. I say F the system. F meaning forget the system. Forget the system and get back to who created us to be in the kingdom that's for us. I'd rather die standing for what's right, not fighting for what's right. Ancient Ryan said, look, Jesus says right here, I didn't come here to bring peace. I didn't come here to bring peace. I came to bring a division from father and son, mother and daughter. What does that mean? Somebody's going to stand for right, and somebody's going to stand on what's wrong. And that division will happen in your own families, because somebody's going to take on the ideas of the world, and then it's going to cause a division. Why? Because when you attach yourself to a system and you believe that this system gives you the freedoms, gives you the rights, you become it. Who told you you was black? Who told you you were thus and this? They did. Who told you you can be a girl if you're a boy? Who told you you can be a boy if you're a girl? Who told you you was poor? Who told you you was rich? Who told you this was yours? We fight over land. This land ain't ours. This is God's land. They came and took our land. And what? It's mighty funny in the old writings that where there was not righteousness, God, y'all, okay, I got a place for you. Come on. Who said you South African? Who said you Nigerian? You taking on names by those who came in and carved up Africa, gave it a name, and now you believing and calling yourself that you are such a South African and will look on your own African and brothers and sisters as being less than you because they come from another region of the continent. What ignorance is that? I'm Nigerian. You're South African. You crazy fool, you. You fall into the daggone trap that they wanted you to fall into, being ignorant. When God says, I have a chosen people who stands on righteousness that I call my own. For those who do not want to be part of that, they have their father. That's the evil one. Pick and choose this day who you want to serve. You can serve the system all day long. Does that mean that you ain't got to go to work and serve? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that, you break out of the system by not working. What I'm saying is you got to ask yourself, where do you stand when it comes to this whole scheme of things of being part of a system? Are you standing for what's right or wrong? Because I guarantee you, if you standing for what's right, your days ain't long before your job be over with. So then if that's the case, then why can't we become self-sufficient? Why is it so hard for Africa to sever ties with other countries? They're going to put sanctions against us. They're going to go ahead and they're going to put embargoes and they're going to go ahead and do these things against us. Wow, what a great opportunity for the light bulb to go off and say, yo, everybody, this is what we're going to do. We become self-sufficient, independent. That's what we're going to do. And we can play business all day long because, Africa is the wealthiest continent. And it's mighty funny. Everybody's getting it out of Africa except for Africa who doesn't believe that they can supply their own self off of the wealth that's in this continent. But we've embraced, capitalistic societies to where we believe that, hey, we can't live without it. I don't want to go back to dirt roads. I don't want to go back. Well, nothing says that you have to. If we're the worker bees in that system, why can't we create ours, what God has for us, and do for self? Because racism, inequalities, job opportunities, how about you create a job? I have nothing to do. I have no money. Okay, you have no money. Okay, tomorrow when you go buy your food, okay, buy your tomato, gather the seeds, dry them out and put them in the ground. Start with that. Find some other people that y'all can come up with ideas on how do you create businesses within the kingdom of God. How about that? You will be amazed of what God would drop in your spirit of the things that you can do. It's mighty funny that every time that I have a desire for something, it's always I'm directed in an entrepreneurial scheme of things. Every time I go back into the system, I get fired from the job. I got fired 3 years ago. A coach at a school. I was doing substitute teaching, and this white girl screamed that I had made comments in a discussion, the classroom discussion, that she got offended of. I got fired from the job. 5 years before that, I was in the film industry. Got fired from that from that region, not the whole industry, but that area, they didn't call on me anymore to get no work because of a white woman who sat there and told these lies about me and all these things right here that was like, wow. Every time I try to go back into the system, I have issues. And the Most High said, keep on getting your ass beat if you want to go back into the system. When I've given you the mind, the ideas to do for self. And at that time, I was fully retired. I was just trying to do something to keep myself busy, thought I'd do something fun. But it was a great life experience for me to see that this system that is in place, you can say something and somebody say something and you can lose your job. And for y'all out there, especially those who are in Africa, that y'all seeing these banks coming in, they want to give you loans now. That's the means of dependency. See, the African way is build your house little by little. As you get your money, you build one room, you put some brick up, build another spot, and then you start little by little. I love the concept. What is so wrong with us living off the grid, away from societies that are of evil and against us? Some of us are moving to Africa from these Western worlds and realizing I'm going to get my land and I'm going to get my food and I'm going to do for myself. There's many of us who are starting to do that. But it's interesting that the Africans that I'm running across right there believe that the Western world is better and believe that the system can do greater for them. Again, so that you know, I used to be in the system, so I can speak from experience that I see now that we have been fed a bunch of lies and believing that the system is supposed to take care of us. Well, Go Black's talking now. See, he's made his wealth, and now he's talking about, look, let me tell you something. I didn't make wealth off of the military. Military got paid pennies. You know where I got mine from? Business. My own business. I did for self. And I didn't have to answer or be in error of crossing God's will or his commandments or being upright standing because of a fear of losing a position or a job. I was able to set on to do what I wanted to do. This is it, family. You tired of racism? You tired of inequality? You tired of the way the world is treating you? There's a kingdom for us that we go ahead and believe in, we can do for self. It's there for us. It's for the taking. And though we are amongst in this world system, you don't have to be part of it. Conform to it. You can be that voice that goes around enlightening people to share with them, yo, we don't have to subscribe to such wickedness and evilness. We don't have to do any of that. So for what they're going to do, if they persecute us for standing for righteousness, it said that they persecuted our Lord. So, hey, they're going to persecute us. When you stand for what's right, it is true saying they hate you. That's why I kept getting fired from my jobs every time I went into the system. Spoke in the classroom about what was right. One little girl gets upset because right is right and it offends people. Fired. On a film job. Hey, look, I'll tell you right here, ain't nobody can work like me. But then to take a word for a woman that because she gets upset because of me standing up for what's right, and then go ahead and put lies against me, and then they don't want to do business with me anymore. I was persecuted for what's right. It's okay. Because when God was showing me is you keep going back into the system. I blessed you to do what's for you, to stand and be an example for the world to see that you don't need this system. This is the very words that Christ was talking to the people about. Come out from among them. These people are liars, they're vipers, they're hypocrites. Don't do as they do. This world system that we are in is very corrupt. Sometimes even our family members. that you have to sever ties from your family members because they be dead wrong. And I've seen so many people will stand up for what's wrong because they're children. I love my children. When the Almighty say, I don't know you. But we rather get along because it's our loved ones. I don't have any children. They were raised, they're adults now. If they choose to do and what they do, I will not stand for what is wrong if it's against what God says is wrong. I don't care who you are. Black, brown, yellow, green, white, it don't matter. If you're wrong, you're wrong. You're right, you're right. And I'm going to stand with those who are right and those against those who are wrong. My kids, I don't care if it was my wife, if I had to call it out, I don't care if my mama, my daddy, whatever, sever the ties. Because you know what? I'm not getting caught up into this whole scheme of things that I used to be part of. Not going to do it. So this right here is what I say, how we of a people who's supposed to have the faith and belief in the Almighty, the God, the Allah, the Supreme Being, Yahweh, that we claim to believe that it's our provider, our protector, that we claim that the Lord is all of these things, but so afraid of standing for what's right, but will fight for what's wrong. We would fight on the devil's door to ask the devil for us to be treated equal as that evilness. Isn't that true? We all admit that the system is so corrupt, but we fight to knock down the door to get the job. We want the job, we want the system to tell us that we're equal to it, that it's evil. What are we saying then? Doesn't that sound like it's ignorant? We need to wake up and come to the truth of the matter that the Most High, we either going to stand on that side of righteousness or you stand on the side of darkness of evil. It's either the two. Let me let Roosevelt in. Roosevelt's been sitting there behind the scenes. My brother, how are you doing today? Brothers and sisters, the link is in the chat. You are more than welcome to call in. What's your thoughts? You can unmute yourself, Roosevelt. I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying. Okay, there you go.
Am I good, Go?
I hear you now.
I'm sitting here enjoying this truth, brother. I've been here, man. I've been in Ghana now for about, man, it'll be a year in October, and I just want to tell so many of our people, whether here or in the U.S., you know, that self-sufficiency, if you're breathing, all power is in you to do whatever you purpose to do. But are you ready to hear that? Because everything in the books, all books written, declare that about you. You are an independent agent of your own success or failure. And that's all I'm hearing, what you're saying. I mean, think about where we've been, those of us in the diaspora. All of the challenges, the time spent trying to live up to or be accepted or get our rights. We were we were brainwashed. I call it brain contaminated into thinking that a man can give us something. Now, I'm with the narrative that there is a part of our history where our ancestors, they left us in a fix. But I am not with the part that says because we have been the victim, or we ate the fruit of their rejecting of their place. I am not with the part that slides over into you can't do nothing unless God does it for you.
Hmm.
You get, I know, but we gotta wait on the Lord's time before we do anything. And brother, has so many of my friends tell me, and family, Rose, you need to slow down. You don't need to go there yet. The Lord is saying, stay put. And brother, I don't want to take too long, man. I'm just enjoying. I always enjoy the message that speaks of our presence as representatives of the one who created us, who breathed life into us. I'm not with the concept of God, even though I used it. I was an ordained minister for about 35 years, and I use, the English language, and I'm using it now. But Spirit tells us that we are the best expression of that, or who or what made us. We are the best expression of that. No one else is. Now, you can argue you got a creator or you don't have a creator. My thing is this: what are you creating? While you're on either side of the argument, what are you creating? And if you are creating anything, who and what gave you the power to do that? But man, I can sit it, man. I go, man. I go with your narrative. I've been doing it since I was in the U.S., man. I think we jumped on one time, but hey, bro,
I appreciate
keep it rolling, man. I'm here in Ghana. I've been getting, it's just an eye opener, just an eye.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. I'm
Yep.
gonna pass the mic over to Kitio. Come on in, brother. What you got?
Evening, everyone. Well, I've had a very funny story in coming to South Africa because I left the army.
Hello. You muted yourself?
Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I left the army back home in Cameroon in search for where you can have like a peace of mind or something. Then in coming here in South Africa, I've been here like for 5 years now. With the concept of the system, which is already way too advanced for the understanding of the people, it keeps them in a trap. And as a foreigner, when you're here, you're trying to like get people out of the system to work alongside with them to create a change. They see you like a threat. You become a target. They'll be like, oh, you're coming here, you want to take everything from us, and so on and so forth. So it has been keeping us at that level whereby at a certain point you can't even pull the crowd towards what is right, because most of them will be like they are very, very hostile to your knowledge, very hostile to what you can do. And they are going to rather take their people, which they claim all of them are in the system together, to put you down so that you can't be able to evolve or do anything. So really, we there is need for us to come back together and see how we can recreate and educate one another towards what is right and how to go about it, which we have forgotten because the system has swallowed most Africans, especially in this country where you have mixed races in Africa as a whole. It has caused a lot of turbulence and destruction, and also implanted a lot of laziness into the people. That's what Africa is facing as a whole. We are not having the basic education on what is holding us back from doing what we have to do, just because we came into this globalization, which have already corrupted everybody's mind. And when you try to stand against it, the whole crowd, everybody is going to see you to be very hostile. I will not even want to give you a listening ear. If you're in South Africa, you're a foreigner, you speak plain and pure English, you are already a threat. You're already a threat because they consider those who are coming here to come and cause destruction and disturbance. And yet we even forget the real people who put us inside those miseries. So the movement for the change for Africa is very, very important, even though it is a very slow process and we need to really work gradually towards that.
Let me say this right here. I appreciate you on that, Theo. I appreciate you on that because hey, like I said, this is a large world, and the old man that have put borders around and caused you to have visas and citizenships in these places. Sometimes it's difficult for one to relocate to other places when you find that those areas are not conducive to you. But it's mighty funny when you get tired of being sick and tired, people find ways to get to other places. We see our brothers and sisters going the back way in Africa, and they going up there to Libya's, going over to Morocco's, and they getting killed, and they're getting all these right here for the sake of trying to get to land that they believe is a better life for them. But my thing is that these systems that are in place that we believe is for us is the wrong direction. Because even if you go to these places, which I believe, that's why I said that, yes, find a place that's for you. It may not be South Africa, because South Africa, they have issues just like everywhere else. Some places have more problems or less problems than other places, but it's for what you are able to bear and handle. So that when you embark upon a place that you say, wow, I don't feel as though me coming in as an outsider is getting some flack because I'm trying to make way for myself. There are many countries out there that you have a different experience. But most importantly, this ain't no movement. This ain't no African movement. This is a God movement. And we got to understand that. We got to set aside the Africanism. We got to set aside the Blackism. We got to understand this is a God movement. I know people ain't gonna like me and all that right there. I don't care. People that unsubscribe, I don't care. They ain't never did this for no subscriptions. What I'm saying is this right here. Because we talking about uniting because of what? Skin color? Because of the tribe? Because of being African? And yet we can backbite and hurt and harm one another? No, I ain't trying to connect with those people. I'm trying to connect with those who have like spirit, those who's up here walking a life of uprightness, not one who is perfect, but one who believes in the Most High to where they know the right that is within them. That even when they cross the line of wrongness, be man or woman enough to say, I was wrong. That's the spirit I'm connecting with. That's a movement I'm being part of. Forget that African thing, because where has it gotten us? Let me pass the mic on to Imagine. Imagine, what you got for us? You got you, or let me unmute you. You got it? Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. You can hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. I am from the islands. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've seen both sides. I've seen a society without hospitals, and you have to be self-sufficient. And I see the other side as far as the first world country where it teaches you how to be complacent and lazy. So I've seen both sides. What I'm going to say is, I was just speaking about that the other day, as far as we are the brainwash to say, I'm Jamaican, I'm Haitian, I'm American. So now when we come together, we're already divided already, because we're already claiming something else already. We're not claiming that we are melanated people on one page. So if you're coming as, I'm a Jamaican, I'm a Haitian, I'm an American, you're already not united. So my solution to all of that is, I am African first, as far as where my ancestors are from, and I am looking for people of like-mindedness. We already know that all skin folk is not kin folks. We already know that. And we already know that it's usually our own people that sell us out. We already know that. So for all that have eyes and ears, if you are the type of person that is on a certain level, it would be better off for you to find somebody else that's on that same level in order to accomplish the goal by being on the same page, if that makes sense. And I believe these nationalities separate us. It's a self-separation. They don't have to do it anymore, because now when they took us from Africa, now they can convince us we're Jamaican. Now they can convince us we're American. And when we accept that, they don't need to do anything else. Their job is done. Period.
I feel you, brother. I appreciate you, man, for your words and all. And I'm gonna go a little further. I'm gonna go a little further because my thing is this right here. First and foremost, I'm a child of the Most High. This skin I'm in comes second, and it really don't mean nothing. At the end of the day, I came in as a black man in this flesh, and this black skin gonna go right back down to the daggone ground. And what I believe that is afterlife is who I really am. And I can pick and choose what side of the direction I want to go, in the light or in the dark. And so my thing is, yes, we want like-minded people, those like-spirited people who's wanting and willing to stand for what's right. Stand on righteousness. Because yes, all kinfolk, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Every brother ain't a brother because of skin color. So then where do we stand then? Well, let's stand on what's right. Because if we stand on what's right, then we know then when we cross lines of it, we can be men and women enough to apologize, to forgive, to be able to then move forward in that spirit. But what are we seeing now? Self-destruction, families departed or destroyed, black on black killing, white on white killing, black killing white killing white, whatever you want to call it. We are a people that we are fighting and defending things that have nothing to do with who we really are. And that's why we are in the mess that we are in. We are subscribing to these systems of evil that are telling us how we should be and interact with one another by causing the division amongst people. The only labeling that we should stand on, identifying, is either you're on the right side, righteousness, or you're on the unrighteousness. That's it. Forget the color, forget the sexism and all this other stuff that we make isms, and let's just go from there. Because like I said before, I've had bad white people in my life as well as bad black people in my life. And I had good white people and brown people and good brothers and sisters in my life as well. And that was a spirit. That wasn't a skin color. That was a spirit that they were walking in, whether it was good or whether it was bad. And I attribute that good and bad that one would call the Most High or one would call the spirit of Satan. That's what I call men that walk in. They walk in that before your skin color. Guarantee you any day. You will know it when you walk up to somebody how you're received. You will know it immediately if you're received in love or if you're received in hate. Mike, come on in. What you got for us?
Yeah, just one question to ask. Is this for only... Oh, sorry. I unmuted already.
No, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. So I'll just say very quickly, I don't want to take too much of your time. So in the comment, I just mentioned that a lack of political will and collective energy are holding Black people back, regardless if they're African descent or not. And I hear this from my colleague before. I was telling my colleague in the past there's nothing wrong, going back to Africa to have peace. And he said to me, you don't know what you're talking about. I asked him, what do you mean? I said, because the tribal people don't like Black Americans.
This is what he said.
Yes, because I was telling because after the death of George Floyd, right? So
Yeah.
I figured that okay, I know that Black Americans have been fighting for over 400 years and counting. And you're right that the system doesn't benefit them. So what's the point of fighting? So I was just trying to encourage my colleague that, there's other options outside of America because I don't want to see Black people stress, depressed every day and fight, and then they can't get anything to dismantle, racism, white supremacy, right? And I just thought that because my colleague's skin has the same skin color just like Africans, but then I didn't realize because the culture is very different in Africa and America. Even though Black people have the same skin color, but I didn't know the tribal beliefs are quite different and diverse. And I'm just trying to be solutions for Black Americans. Moving from America to Africa, and then I found out it's the hard ways that not everybody's going to agree to move from America to Africa. But I noticed that more Black Americans are kind of moving from America to Europe, right? But I now think that America and Europe, they're the same thing. You know what I mean? I mean, sure,
Where you,
Europeans are more.
where are you right now, Mike? Where you live or where you from?
I'm actually in Washington, D.C.
And so do you? What's your race?
Asian descent.
Asian descent. Well,
Yes.
I'll say this right here, man. It's not for you to convince anybody of where they should go and where
Mm-hmm.
they should be. I
Right.
mean, I believe it's on one person's own accord of who if they want to stay and fight in America. I tell people, go for it. Stay and fight if you want to fight against the system. But I understand why there are those because of the younger, they haven't gone the mile that I've gone, and
Mm-hmm.
those who've walked even a couple of miles beyond myself in age who've been through those. That there are those who have different life experiences. There are those who tell me that there ain't no racism in America. There's those who tell me they haven't had any hard times. And I'm like, well, that's you. Hey, that's your business. That's what you are, what you have. My channel was more for people who was looking for another answer. So I appreciate you calling in. And my thing is that, your friend will have you. I think he stands in error when he says that the Africans really don't look at Black America. They look at Black Americans in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily the what? Yeah. So, my thing is that, everywhere you go, you're going to have a different experience. And we cannot generalize the whole continent of Africa as being a certain way because you come across a few people who may be in different ways. 54 countries, vast, large continent, the largest in the world, and yet there's so much that one can experience and one that can go on a journey and find whatever it is that they're looking for. But I'm saying before that, one should look within self and find the God that is in them in order to bring them into a place of peace and rest instead of knocking on a system that is corrupt and evil, trying to get that justice and peace and rest. And once one does that, I believe that the Almighty will be able to resurrect them and send them on a journey to where there is that is rightfully for them. So, Sheila, what's happening, my sister? Are you there? Are you there? Sheila Williams. All right, let's move on to Matt Fire. You can take yourself off of mute.
Man, I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
amazed by the knowledge. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Mbolo, Mbolo. I'm Gabonese. I'm living in South Africa. I've been living here for 15 years. And I've been just listening to the whole thing, the way you drop the bomb. You really a soldier of the Most High. Yeah, that's no doubt. You know exactly where you're going. You know exactly what you're doing. And when we talk about the system that is calling us black, because when we learn colors even in elementary, we not black, we brown, we chocolate with different tone, and we are the only one who with that the black name, because they try, the system is trying to connect it to darkness, which is everything that come out of us is bad. And maybe that's also what is giving so much hatred in between one another, because we are called black. Some call themselves white, but what about the Asian? Why do they call them Asian? Not by their skin color. What skin color are they? You get what I'm saying? The big difference is always between black and white. Why we called black? If we not black according to the color, when we learn about color, we are not black. Literally, we not black. But then it also comes with that idea of superiority, and how white is related to everything that is godly, and we have the white Jesus. You get what I'm saying? And that's all in the idea of brainwashing us. And man, I just like the way you taking your subject, and I just want to salute you. You are not a boy, you are a man, and I salute you as a soldier of the Most High. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You just proved it. I was really really surprised on how you started and the angle you took after the question that you asked to the others. And man, just keep on doing what yeah called you to do. You're doing
Thank you.
great. You're
Thank you,
doing
brother.
great.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Family, my thing is that when, as our brother was saying, and I said earlier, it's like, who told you you were black? It comes to memory to mind that in the ancient writings and the scrolls, in the beginning of man, when man and woman covered themselves, the question was posed to them: why do you cover yourselves? Who told you you were naked? Who told you you were naked? This was the question that was asked. The first question asked to man: who told you you were naked? Who told you you were black? Who told you you were poor? See, this is the whole idea of why one should not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because what it does is it will expose things and bring you into a place of captivity. And once you know it, it traps you in it. See, Africans don't know. Most Africans from before all of this TV and stuff never knew nothing about being poor, let alone us who was in these other countries. Poor, until they give you a depiction of what poor is. Now we got people trying to break their neck, trying to get themselves out of a poverty state when they're wanting to see the things that's gleaming, like the cars and the houses and the jewelry and the clothes and all these things that they're trying to be like. This is a system in place to keep people in their lanes, in their categories, in their titles, in their specific groupings. Why? A house divided cannot stand. And a people who stands for God will always win. For those who wants to be part of a system, they're going to keep you divided, because why? They know you will not stand together to take them out. How can a people who are divided stand up collectively against a system when each group is trying to get something from the system? Shaka's asking the question right here. Why is your channel, I assume he means, called Go Black? When Yeshua, the word of God in that body, came to speak to the people, And a woman came to ask Yeshua a question. And he responded and said, basically, the food I have for the Jews, I can't give to dogs. The word must go to them first. Because we are in a system, the reference of go black to Africa in itself is a reference, black. Well, it is a universal word that all will agree that this is to a people, no different than what then was called Jews or Gentiles. In order for to reach out to those who understand. But look what I'm saying now, because see now, like I've said before, I've said this before, years ago, a year or so ago, before, one of the hardest things I had to swallow of truth when I was 38 years old was, you are not a black man. It took me over a year to accept that. Swallow it. I chewed on it for over a year. And as time went on, I understood it then. That by who I am spiritually and that who is in me is of spirit, and that of this flesh. Though that I reign within it is not me. Because this flesh is the battle and warring we do daily of trying to stand on righteousness. And guess what? When we come to the end of our road and we take our last breath, guess where this black skin is going back to? The dust. He who comes from dust will return to dust. This body will. So in saying that, to answer your question, why is your channel called Go Black? Because I believe that the Most High is using me at this point in time of life for those who are stuck in the mindset, in the mentality of believing they are black, to bring them out of that land, would say of Egypt, if we will, but that land of entrapment, over into the side of the spirituality of who we really are. Because black ain't got us nowhere. Being African hasn't gotten anywhere. But I can tell you this, being 55 years old, since I came over onto the kingdom of God side, it's definitely different than when I was on the dark side. Hands down. My life opened up. And all things were handed me in the will of our Lord. That's all I can tell you. So yes, this skin is black. Well, let me back that up. This skin is brown, and we know what we say, but this skin is brown. In the family of from the dark coming all the way down, even to what they say that the white man comes in, he falls in the family of black. This is what the scientists have said and proven. All fall into the color scheme of the black. This is what they're saying scientifically. And though sometimes that I would want to disagree because of the ill wills of those who have controlled and dominated the world, I still contribute that to the side of evil. That's the side of evil. So family, I hope each and every one of you all blessings. I hope that each and every one of you all would even consider where with the subject matter of being in a system that we try to fight and press through, when we should allow that system to be and go into the kingdom of the Most High. That we should not allow that the names that have been given us for us to subscribe to those names, Black, African, what have you. Why not we can be called the sons of God who are standing on what's right. And that when we open our mouths up against what is not right, people who have an ear to hear and eyes to see will come flee to see what's going on and what's the real deal over here. With that, family, this is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Let me say this right here. I just started a channel called Go Back to God. That is going to be the catapult, or that's the now next level of where our people need to hear. Because me sharing Africa to people don't get nobody nowhere. Because like I've said before, I know many people who's come from America, UK, Canada, over to Africa. I know 4 families that's gotten a divorce since they've been in Africa. Can you blame the white man on that? I've got caught up in scams from my own brothers and sisters. Do you blame white man for that? I've watched us carry on arguing and fighting over internets and calling each other's name. Can you blame white men for that? Your blackness coming into Africa has nothing to do with what the real deal of life is about. That spirit. Because one coming into Africa just to come see if it's the place for them, and you still the devil from hell, makes things that much more worse. So what am I doing then? Showcasing Africa if your spirit ain't even right. So my other channel is called Go Back to God. Because once we do go back to the Most High and get back on the path of righteousness, there ain't no more racism. There ain't no more evilness that we have to deal with. And it's around us. What I'm saying is that we in ourselves don't have to deal with. We'll have healthy families. We'll have healthy communities. We'll have ourselves will be healthy. We'll be walking right up. We will be stand as a pillar within the communities, for people to see the Most High that is within us. And as they did when they saw a standard, they came in multitudes following. Because they knew from the system that was in place that was corrupt and evil, they didn't want parts of. So with that, family, I'm out. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all.